Texas has a wild nature which refuses to be tamed, even in the face of danger.
She thought it was so unique and so exotic.
At 10 years old, Lauren Villafana had a pair of wild tigers living in her backyard in Yorktown. This summer, Lauren's stepfather allowed her inside a cage that held the tigers, and one of them attacked and killed her.
She was the most important thing in my life. I miss her a lot.
Dr. Richard Villafana, Lauren's father, has lost the smile reflected in photographs with his only child. Lauren lived with her mother and stepfather, who bought 2 tiger cubs that grew to top 300 pounds.
How could they think that it was okay to put a child, I mean, my wife's own flesh and blood, how could she think that it was okay to put her next to an unpredictable predator?
Lauren's stepfather, Bobby Hernicke, now faces up to 20 years in prison and a charge of felony endangerment of a child. He did not want to talk to the News of Texas.
I always thought that the only people who could own these animals were zoos or certified animal trainers who were like in circuses or something like that. I never thought that the average citizen who, could work at the Jiffy Mart could just go buy a tiger.
There are now more tigers living in backyard pens than in the wild. Ownership of exotic cats has exploded in Texas, with an estimated 12,000 living in private homes. Mary Robbins has owned exotics for 20 years.
Once I had my first cougar, baby cougar, I was really hooked.
Now Mary's house holds a menagerie. Her newest addition, a young cougar, stalks the living room. 2 monkeys have their own room and at times have the run of the kitchen. Robbins has so many animals, she employs a nanny to take care of them.
It's a matter of knowing what you're getting into. We do it because we really, truly love the animals and love sharing our homes and lives with the animals.
In Texas, state laws that regulate exotic wild animals simply don't exist. You don't have to get a permit to own one, and there's no state law to say how these potentially deadly animals are caged.
Someone in a full-fledged residential neighborhood with children on each side of them can have a tiger in their backyard held in hog wire. Basically that's how minimal, if any, regulations there are.
So animal rights groups appealed to state lawmakers to pass the most basic restrictions on these dangerous wild animals. First, they sought an all-out ban, but settled on a bill that would have required owners to register these animals, get liability insurance, and install a proper cage. That bill failed to pass the state legislature 6 days before Lauren Villafana was mauled to death.
What's it going to take for the politicians to stand up, have a backbone, and say no more? That's it. No more people will die from this.
Critics of the bill say it would not have saved Lauren Villafana or prevented the 24 escapes and maulings in Texas over the last 2 years.
We didn't have lions and tigers and bears running rampant through the neighborhoods mauling children. We had children going into the pens with them. Their parents shouldn't have allowed it. The owner shouldn't have allowed it. You can't outlaw stupidity.
Ike Sugg with the Texas Exotic Wildlife Association helped defeat that bill.
If you regulate one kind of animal, you've already established the precedent that you can regulate other kinds of animals.
And it's that reason more than 1,000 ranchers who raise exotic game have opposed any regulation. To them, regulation means losing their ranch.
This, to me, is home.
For 25 years, Steve Forrest has bred exotic animals for hunting, preserving species that have disappeared in the wild. He believes if one type of wild animal is regulated, then soon all will be.
What makes me most concerned is that I'll lose the land, these animals will lose their home, that they'll wipe me and them out in one stroke of the pen.
Forrest has no patience for irresponsible owners, but knows they may be changing the way Texans feel about wild animals. And someday soon, the wildest things in Texas may have to be tamed.